What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be chatting about a very touchy issue. In fact, I've been making outlines for this all day, then scrapping those outlines and replacing them with new outlines, deciding that those outlines sucked, and then realizing that if I just spent my entire day making outlines, that I would never record the video. So I figured I would just go ahead and dive headfirst into the veteran experience of Warframe and how to improve it. Now, before we even cover anything, I do need to toss out several disclaimers, mainly because of the fact that veterans and veteranship is a little bit of a loaded gun when it comes to Warframe. There are definitely a certain segment of people that when you say veterans to, they only think of snobbish, elitist people that, you know, cuss you out in public chat if you're not bringing a meta Warframe into certain mission types, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. It's definitely not the kind of veterans that I'm talking about. In addition, it's also some people seem to think that veteranship is solely based on when you join the game. So kind of like if someone came in right at the end of closed beta and then stopped playing for like years and then just recently came back. I'm not necessarily talking to that veteran either. The kind of veteran that I'm really targeting today with the proposals that I'm making are the veterans who have experienced the game in almost all of its entirety. So when I say that, I mean they've fought Eidolons, they've done their extended runs, they've done a bunch of their focus trees already, they've farmed every single prime, got the mastery for it, including the weapons, and they've just in general collected, you know, all of their arcanes, done the quests, even like some of the scanny bits in Cetus that I absolutely hated. Like all of those things within the game, they've gone and they've experienced it, they've leveled up their arc wings, like they have progressed through the game. So when I talk about veteranship today, I'm talking about it in a progression standpoint, because that is what I'm specifically gearing towards when I talk about veterans today. Now, in other terms, I've talked about veterans as kind of like emotional creatures that have been through things with DE. And you know, there's still going to be a little bit of that as well, but the main part we're talking about today is a progression system specifically for the veterans. Now, this is what I'm going to address to the new players, and I do need to kind of have a little bit of a pause with you guys. So, straight out of the gates, I'm going to let you know I don't mean to sound patronizing, and I don't mean for this to sound like I'm an asshole, but I'm going to sound like an asshole, and I'm going to sound patronizing. So, what this whole next segment that I'm kind of disclaimering you to is I wouldn't give my 6-year-old control over where my 18-year-old is going to college, okay? So you're new to the game. I want you to step to the side. I want you to, you know, do your little arithmetics, figure out the difference between your adverbs and your adjectives, do all that, get your levels, you get your weapons leveled up, get yourself some frames, you know, farm your primes, while we go ahead on this side with the, you know, the big boys, and we start talking about, you know, where they're going to go to beyond what we've currently got in the game. Again, not going to let a 6-year-old decide where my 18-year-old goes to college. So as much as I would love for you to be a part of the discussion, I also kind of want to put it in perspective that there are people who have gone further beyond you in the game, and that's who we're catering to today. So again, I'm sorry if that didn't sound the nicest, but that's really what we're going to be focusing on, because I figure you guys have a lot to do. You've got syndicates you need to jump on top of. You've got weapons that you need to grind out. You don't need to worry about the extra bits that we're going to be touching on today. And then I guess the last thing that I really wanted to address, because this definitely has come up before and I need to correct some people on it. And if you thought you thought I was mean before, I'm about to get even meaner now. There seems to be this thought process that DE wants to focus simply on newer players because of the fact that they're bigger money makers. And I want to laugh in your faces right now because that's the biggest insult. Some people seem to think that veterans don't spend money on Warframe, even though veterans are more attached to specific frames, so they will go out of their way to buy deluxe frames, 10-gen skins. Whenever new builds come out, they'll reforma them. Whenever new weapons come out, of course, they're going to toss new forma into that as well. So veterans are more of a long-term investment that kind of grow and blossom into having lots of returns, while new players, yeah, they might spend some money on, you know, a couple catalysts here and there, while they might, you know, grab themselves a couple Warframe slots. We're talking about a new player who's maybe gonna buy, you know, 2 sets of Warframe and weapon slots, as opposed to like a veteran player who's literally bought every single Riven slot that they possibly can in order to, you know, maximize every single loadout that they can, because they've been around in the game, they've earned a lot in the game, and they've stockpiled their favorites. So when we talk about that discussion right there about who spends more, veterans versus new players, don't think that the veterans aren't dropping some coins on these games, okay? So you can take that argument right out the window and go sit there with your arithmetic, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and kind of jump into one of the things that I really did want to talk about, is that there's a lot of things that are happening in Warframe right now that are very focused towards fast-tracking people towards what I call the retirement stage of veteranship. And one of the biggest culprits, of course, is ESO. And don't get me wrong, I love me some ESO. I do love me some ESO. It's probably one of my 2 favorite mission types to go into, and that's of course Kuva and Elite. And the thing about this is, they kind of pitched it to us like, oh, it's gonna be your veteran gameplay, it's gonna be made for the veterans. And I'm like, the challenge may be there for the veterans, that's fantastic, but we're not getting any veteran rewards. Every single reward that is found in ESO is really made specifically to fast track some of the players in the mid-range into veteranship even quicker. So that means that we're getting a larger veteran population, a lot of people who are progressing much faster through the game than they normally would because of these rewards. Let's break it down real quick. So what we have are Radiant Relics. That's great. You know, us veterans don't really need it because we've pretty much gotten all of our primes and whatnot already, right? We've got a majority of them. And you guys put vaulted primes in the void, so you know ESO isn't a part of that, right? At least as far as I know, ESO isn't a part of that. So we can't even necessarily farm that for plat. We're just kind of like getting it for, oh, there's a new prime out. Well, if you guys want, we can grab some Radiant Relics from ESO. And that's pretty much the only time that matters. But to players who are in that mid-range, you're like, I'm getting Radiant Relics left, right, and center. I can go ahead and grab all of those primes that I missed. So now they're collecting these Radiant Relics faster, they're building their primes faster, and they're slowly progressing into veteranship. Same thing goes for Focus. Focus is something that you can collect a lot of in ESO. So what basically happens is those people that were kind of like, you know, maybe had finished one school with of their Focus are now like going in to finish their 2nd and 3rd school because there's so much more Focus to be had. Because of all of the boosts that are given. And you guys got to remember, way back in the day, we didn't have those boosts back in Focus 1.0. And our pools were far larger back then because we had to pay for each individual pool to slot each individual ability. So we paid a lot more back then. And I finished like two schools, almost finished a 3rd one, and maybe had a couple smatterings in another one. So veterans had been grinding out their Focus left, right, and center. Now we got a ton of Focus, we don't know what to do with it. So the Focus isn't really geared towards veterans, it's geared towards mid-tier players becoming veterans. And then of course, what else is there? There's the leveling ability for ESO. You can bring in some unranked weapons and you can rank through those real quick. So now we have a mastery rank catch-up test, right? Not test, but catch-up mode. So people are getting mastery faster, people are getting primes faster, people are getting Focus faster. And now we're getting a larger group of veterans that are in the game that are going to go ahead and continue progressing and will slowly run out of content, which is not necessarily the greatest thing. And that's why having a progression system that goes past what we currently have is so, so important. Because here's the thing, and this is one of the things we'll be touching on when I talk about some of the veteran rewards that I really want to put into place, is the fact that if you don't have veterans, you don't have people guiding your newer players through the rest of the game, right? Like literally veterans, like 2 veterans can carry an Eidolon mission. And maybe they bring along 2 new players who have no clue what they're doing and are just trying to learn, and they can teach them, right? I personally love doing Arcwing with some players that are a little bit newer, help them out, keep them alive, do all that kind of stuff. And like, that's what it is. That's what veterans do. They're here to solidify your community. They're here through word of mouth to tell newer players, oh, this is how you do that. Oh, wait, let me show you. Let me help you. And our veterans in this community are so passionate because they love the game. They love teaching other players, sometimes by force. You know how it goes. We get a little passionate. Sometimes passionate gets like strangling passionate. But really, we have that kind of community that loves to teach newer players. But what happens when those veterans like legit run out of things to do? So if we look at where I'm currently standing, and I might not represent every single person out there, but I definitely do represent somebody who's got a lot of progression in the game. Pretty much picked up all of the Soma chords already, done with that. I've gotten all of my focus done. I've got every Warframe out there, every weapon out there. The only things that I really haven't delved too deep into is Conclave, but I am top tier, maximum tier in the Syndicate standings for Conclave. So I've got, you know, sigils, and I've got some Conclave skins. And really the only thing that I haven't done in the game is grab all the Curia, which, please, Lord save my soul, because that's gonna hurt. And then, of course, the Our John Prodman run, which I'm just really slacking on and saving that for last. Listen, if you gave us, like, the sexy John Prodman poster, that challenge would have been completed 3 or 4 times over, but we just have the boring normal one. So, really, there's not too much for me to do in the game that's much draws. I might pick up a couple arcanes that I'm just collecting to collect. Really, that's the stage I'm at. I'm in the retirement stage where it's like, literally, I'm just doing this because there's nothing else to do. This doesn't bring me any joy, like grinding out extra resources to pick up bad arcanes, like from Cetus. That's like the point where I'm at. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll learn how to fish so that I can pick up this shitty arcane that I'm never gonna use, but I'm just gonna get it to finish off my collection. And that's what I call the retirement phase. Like, I'm not leaving Warframe, I'm just in the parts of Warframe where I'm like, there's nothing really left other than me just being here to do, like, just for completionist's sake. So, with that, I wanted to go ahead and pitch a progression system, and it's not gonna be something crazy. Some of it's going to be crazy. It's going to start off less crazy, and then it's going to get a little crazy. Alrighty, now you know how I was talking about disclaimers? We're going to revisit that real quick for this segment, because we are going to get into prestige progression for veteran players. Now, the issue here is I don't want to talk about the mechanical end of progression, because I'm sure that DE has something tucked away for that, or at least I hope that they have something tucked away from that, like focus trees advanced, like, you know, advanced operator combat, something along those lines, because we've seen things like the sentient arm cannon, and of course there's a promise of the new war that is coming out, and I'm sure that DE is going to have something tied to that as well, or at least the Kingpin system. We're going to be seeing something maybe with Quill Onko. Maybe we'll find something in the future when it comes to them. So I'm going to leave the mechanical end of the spectrum to DE, because they can do it. I know they can. What they're not the greatest at, and yes, Rob is about to criticize DE, so, you know, put on your seatbelts. You know, don't get your weave snatched too quick now. But the one thing they're not good at is making players feel special over other players. DE is like that one really sweet parent that's like, I love all of my kids equally. They're all beautiful and special in their own ways. You know, I've got one that's got a doctorate and he's ready to start his own medical practice. And I've got one that's spray painting cars and breaking windows. He's such a lively one. I love them all equally. Really? You love them all equally? Because there's some of us that have been in this game busting our butts for years and been playing down with you when there was no content out, just finding our own content to do. There are people dressing up dojos because they ain't got nothing to do, okay? So I'm just saying, you love all of your children equally, and they do. They really, really do love all of their children equally, and you'll see it in their challenges menu, okay? Let's take a look at this. So we have bow proficiency. This is one of the ones where we're saying reach rank 10 with any bow weapon, right? Reach rank 20 with any bow weapon. Reach rank 30 with any bow weapon. Now you're proficient. Fantastic. Then bow mastery. Let's look at this. Reach rank 10 with any 2 bow weapons. Ooh. Oh my god, reach rank 20 with any 2 bow weapons. Reach rank 30 with any 2 bow weapons. So literally, you could have a Ceranos, just Ceranos. We're not even talking about Rock to Ceranos. We're not talking about Ceranos Prime. You could have a Paris. You could reach rank 30 with those. And you're a bow mastery. It's not even bow mastery 1. You're not a bow master. You're a bow master to the 3rd degree. Are you really? Why do we not have any advanced mastery, right? Why isn't there mastery like, oh, Forma any 3 bows twice? You know, something along those lines. Like, this is like, oh, you're breathing? Oh, you're breathing? I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that you're breathing. And I'm like, okay, I get it. We love you. You love everybody. That's fantastic. Like another one that I always kind of laugh at, and we go a little bit further into this, and you'll see it here, is Weaponsmith. Build an item in the foundry. One item and you get an achievement. Why don't we have an achievement for building 100 items in the foundry? Why don't we have an achievement for building 200 items in the foundry? We shape our tools. Apply 1 mod to a weapon or warframe. It's not even a weapon and warframe. It's a weapon or warframe. That's how low level these challenges are, because DE likes to make everyone feel special. And a part of me is like, there have been so many of us that have busted our asses in these games, and this is all it takes to complete the challenges, right? Can we talk about the fact that why don't we have one where we shape our tools, right? Why not max out 5 primed mods? Because you know what giving that challenge would be? That would drive players to max out 5 primed mods. It would create progression. They were not as good for a second ago, and now because they've completed this challenge, they're progressing. It is a much more intense progression curve, but it should be. If we're calling people masters, you know what I mean? And I get it, Warframe's all about, you know, having a feeling of power, but 2 bows and you a master? Okay, let's look at this. So this is what you are. This is actually one of the more difficult challenges that we have in Warframe, right? This is what you are. Complete 1 focus skill tree. Just one. Why isn't there a challenge that is complete the entire skill tree, all of the skill trees for every single focus school, right? We need to take these challenges and bring them to another level. And I'm going to give you an example right here, because we're going to talk about prestige. I know Rob's rambling a little bit, but we have all of these different savior insignias, right? Why isn't there a savior of the origin system? Why can't that be the culmination of every single one once you've achieved all of these single achievements, right? Why isn't there another achievement that is called the savior of the system that gifts you this cool ass little logo here as an emblem, or like a sigil that you could wear on your chest? Then people would be like, where'd you get that? And you'd be like, oh, it's because I'm the savior of the system. I completed the entire star chart. Now you have something for people to strive to. You have people, because you have a lot of people that don't even finish the star chart. They just get taxied to where they need to go to. This would drive them to complete something in order to get an emblem or a sigil. And the thing about it is, DE, like, listen, you have the framework of a really, really fucking cool logo here. Add some dope ass energy effects. Don't Sakara us. Because we saw that Sakara for when you close the raids. You put a little tiny little wisp of energy in there, and you thought, you know, that was great for the veterans. No, that was a little slap across the face for the veterans. So do this, use that as the base framework, and then do like something really cool and something really like eye-catching with it. So people are like, what is that? I need to get that. Then that makes them want to do all of these and clear all of the star charts in all of these areas, right? Make it so that it's something that like they need to have visually because it looks so dope. Same thing goes with this is what you are. When we complete all of the focus skill trees, why don't we have another achievement that gives us either that as an emblem or a sigil? Dress it up, make it pretty, maybe even make it metallic, something like that with like a glowing ring in it or something along those lines, so that people can see it, it's visual, and people are like, oh, what's that? Oh, he finished all of his focus skill trees. So now it doesn't just make that person who finished their skill trees feel good, it also drives other players to be like, oh shit, I gotta go do that because I gotta get that cool thing. So it leads to pushing people to progression. Now, one of the big things that I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier is clustering. So after you get this cluster of achievements, you unlock another achievement, right? So I'm gonna hypothetically pitch another one, okay? So maybe you get all of these achievements and then you get Savior of the System. So we have the Savior of the System. And then instead of this is what you are, you get the upgraded version when you finish all of your skill trees. So you've saved the system, you've finished all your skill trees, and maybe let's toss in the sacrifice. You've completed the sacrifice. So you've got three challenges that are considered progression challenges, that are like higher tier progression challenges, right? It should unlock something further. And this is where things get really juicy. I know I was talking about emblems and sigils, and y'all are rolling your eyes. You're like, Rob, we need something better than emblems and sigils. I got you. So what I want to pitch now is gonna be where things start getting a tad bit crazy. So again, we've done the Savior of the Origin System, we've done finishing all of your focus trees, and then we've done, what is it called? The Sacrifice Quest, right? So hypothetically, we're just low, to me that's a low bar of entry, all right? But those three clustered. After that, you should be able to revisit a specific NPC, whether it be Darvo, whether it be Maru, whether it be, oh my god, what's his name? Daddy with the Teshin, Space Daddy. Visit Teshin, and you should be able to unlock, I guess you would call it further customizations. Let's call it Prime 2.0. All right, so the big thing about this is, of course, you're gonna need your primes, and one of the things that I want to push is, why not make alternate helmets for your primes? So there's nobody that works with your prime textures better than your own artists, so why not carry over that prime texture and just create new prime helms, right? So that way, you're like, oh, what is that prime? That looks like it's a Loki prime body, but it's got another prime helmet. And the thing that I love about this is the fact that you can also, okay, so we got prime helmets, and then your prime details. So the prime details you can also alter, because clearly you can toggle them off and on. Why not just make this another kind of selection screen and be able to select certain prime details? So now what you can do, and this is something that I've wanted for ages, because dear Lord, sweet baby Jesus, please save Frost Prime. Save Frost Prime, because he needs help. Okay? So what this would do is, after you've completed those three things, finishing your focus schools, what was the other one? Unlocking the whole star chart and finishing that, and then finishing the sacrifice, is you would be able to purchase these advanced primes. You'd be able to give Frost Prime a new fucking helmet, a new Frost helmet, please. All right? You'd be able to give Frost Primes like attachments, better attachments, and make him feel like a whole new prime. And the thing is, this will all be earned. Players will be able to see this. This is going to be saying, wait, that's Frost Prime. Why does my Frost Prime look the same way that his Frost Prime? Oh, because he's finished his focus schools, he's cleared out the entire star chart, and he's finished the sacrifice. So because he's done all of that, he can have better looking, or not better looking, but different variants of the primes. So that's one of the things that I definitely want to drive home. We don't need to change the entire body of the original primes. We can just change the prime armors that are attached to them. And that's definitely something that's kind of come up when we're looking at the prime toggles, right? They're things that we can turn off and turn on at whim. So why not be able to kind of make use of that? Oh my god, is this? No, this is the one. This is the one. See? So why not be able to change those prime details so that you can make variants upon what you already have and drive those veteran players to get something that looks cool? It doesn't affect gameplay. It's not a new mechanical system, so people go, oh, it's OP, you're giving veterans too much OP stuff. It's all visual, and it's all cool as fuck. And the thing about this is, it doesn't have to happen in a day. You could trickle it out. You know, you could be like, all right, this is Oberon season. So Oberon's getting a new helmet and Oberon's getting new prime details, right? So I think that that's a really, really cool way. Now, this is where I lose some friends. So now we've got new emblems, we've got new sigils, we've got new prime details, we've got new prime helmets. Now, of course, there's going to be a cost to this. You don't just buy these things with your love. It's just not how it works. So the thing that I do want to propose for things like this is potentially having it cost something like focus and then other things. So let's say focus and Kuva. So maybe one item will cost focus and Kuva. Maybe one item will cost focus and Tellurium, so that, you know, they do some more Arcwing stuff. Or maybe some would cost focus and Eidolon shards. So that way we would drive veteran players to play some of the game missions that maybe they don't play enough, right? Say that you want your veteran players to play more ESO. There's synthetic Eidolon shards found in ESO. So make a recipe cost focus and synthetic Eidolon shards, right? There are also things like Synthula. You find Synthula in lower level missions. If you want your veterans to help out lower level players, you can drive them to these lower level missions by saying, okay, well, you've earned your focus, so use that focus as your money, and then also go ahead and grab this Synthula. So now you have people playing for Synthula on those lower level missions. It's a great way to spread your veteran community out to help some of the newer players, because that's the beauty of the veterans. The veterans are more than happy to help newer players. Some of them are bitches, but in general, we're happy to help. Especially if it means the success of the team. So if you offer things like prime helmets, hell yeah, I'm going to be grinding that focus. Yes, I'm going to be helping out those newer players with Eidolon hunts if I need to get some Eidolon shards. You know what I mean? Hell yeah, I'm going to be out there grinding that Kuva. And now newer players are going to have somebody to grind Kuva with. Veteran players are going to have something to work towards. And then, of course, then of course everybody, like the community, comes together, and now you have something a little bit more stable that you can trickle out. It's not the biggest workload. Maybe pull an artist or two if you guys ever get artists free along those lines, or maybe even take inspiration from some of the amazing artists in Tenogen. Something along those lines. Just give us something to work towards. The last thing that I would like to pitch is very, very similar to the prime helmets and the prime armor sets. However, and hell, maybe we could even get additional armor sets. All right, maybe you could offer like exclusive prime armor sets that are only available after you've completed maybe all your articula? No, not articula. All of your little rabbit things. The things that are like the little cat statues that you scan, and then the curia, all of the fish, and then, I don't know, some other really, really annoying collector's one. And then all of the ghouls, maybe everything in the ghoul purge. Once you've done all of that, have that unlock some dialogue with Maru where she's like, Hunters! That sounds like Barrow Katir. We've got some new antiquities for you, and this time you can wear it. And she'll have you go, and she'll have you pay for it via focus and maybe freaking one of those goddamn Itan statues that people have a million gazillion of in sorties. So it's like one of those things where it's like now all of those people who have those really annoying Itan sculptures that they all fucking hate getting, they can use those ones and say, hey Maru, here's some focus. Here's a goddamn Itan statue that I have like 50 gazillion of. Take those. Let me get an armor piece, right? And again, that would drive veterans into certain mission types. So I think that's why it's really, really great, because it's an awesome solution that lets people get paid for their effort, right? And the last one that I want to put in, aside from armors, alternate helms, adjustments to prime details, sigils and emblems, is maybe this is too much to ask, and this is why I saved this for the end. Maybe alternate energy effects. Like, I think that would be absolutely dope if we could buy alternate energy effects. Just picture it with Oberon, because he is, canonically the king of the fairies. What if when he raises his, you know, reckoning, what if you get an alteration to raise his reckoning, and then when it smashes down into the ground, butterflies fly out, or little fairies fly out? You know, what if, you know, he has a smite ability where he literally fires off a smite orb, and once it fires off, like little sprinkles of fairy flutters come out. Something along those lines, something to kind of give a little bit of a difference. And then people are like looking around saying, where are all these fucking butterflies from? Oh, it's from Oberon's hallowed ground. He put down a hallowed ground and all of these little butterflies are coming out. Or maybe you don't even want to do butterfly effects. Maybe you want to put some flowers. Maybe they're just flowers all over the ground. Like, you could do that too, to have these like custom energy effects. Maybe when Loki does his irradiating disarm, instead of like a swoosh of like energy, maybe it's like electricity that kind of like surges out of him. Or maybe it looks like a cool like weapon slash or something like that to kind of, you know, disarm enemies. So little things like that, because they're visual, because they're different, and you gotta make them look different enough. You got to make them look different. You got to make them look flashy. You got to make them look desirable, because you got to sell these things to us and make us want them. So that's kind of like my solution when it comes to prestige, because now you can have, you know, Oberon Prime, or you can have Oberon Prime V2, you know, Oberon Prime. You know what I mean? Maybe you could have Umbra, right? Maybe Umbra could get a different type of scarf. Right? Toggle those details and give them a different little scarf, maybe a little different helm, something along those lines to really give veteran players prestige. Again, I know that this isn't like a mechanical solution to things, but I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there that like looking cool and not like having to pay any money to look cool. So this is a great way to work towards looking cool, getting prestige, and getting progression, and keeping the veterans, you know, busy. Because even though, you know, maybe Venus is going to end up dropping, cool, you know, that'll keep us, you know, that'll keep us tied up for maybe 2 months, because a lot of people love just hunkering down, just going on in for 2 months in a row, getting everything that they could possibly get, and they're going to be twiddling their thumbs because there's nothing to do for the rest of the year. So with a little system like this that draws from your challenges, I think that it would be an amazing way for players to stay busy over cool little things that'll make them look and feel a little more special than, you know, the sibling that's, you know, spray painting cars and breaking into windows. I'm just saying. So let me know how you guys feel about prestige. Let me know if there's anything that you would add on for prestige, because again, like I was saying earlier, I'm sure DE is going to be working on cooler mechanics, and they've got a great eye for that kind of stuff. But when it comes to prestige, what would you like them to add into the game as veteran progression? I've been talking for a really long time, and you've been listening to me blab, so I'm going to head on out. Leave your feelings down in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!